And good morning and welcome to another live stream. My apologies for my voice. I've got some heart issues and I'm breathing problems at this stage. So just forgive my voice. Also, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's really important that you do that. Once I get a certain amount of subscribers and watch hours, I can get reimbursed by YouTube. I can get paid because I do this out of my own expenses. But if I can get paid from YouTube, that'd be great. But I need a certain amount of subscribers and watch hours. And please make sure you hit that notifications bell, select all. That way you know when I do a live, you'll be notified straight away. Now, there's two things today that we're going to talk about. The first one's we came across the other day. It's regarding a kill list that the NDIS supposedly have. Just could you play that for us, Chris? I'll just show you this short clip. Yeah, you're right. No, just play a short clip so you can understand what I'm going to talk about.
Thank you, Chair. I'm not often here. This is probably my first. This came from a constituent issue, and I'm not sure which is. I'll go to the agency first. Is the term kill list a phrase used by your agency?
No.
Could it be a program, anecdotal, anything used by?
Not that I'm aware of.
On your side?
No.
Okay. Can you tell me why, and I'll table it. In a document here, I have under FOI, in response to an FOI application.
Senator Cadell, that document can be distributed. It can't be tabled.
Oh, it can be distributed then. I'll distribute it. In response to an FOI application and documents held in the NDIS servers, 355 documents were found with the term kill list and an individual.
I'll have to have a look at the document, so I'm not aware of that. So.
It's a document written by Helen HIL 533 dated 10th September 2024. So you've said you don't use the term, but on your own letter to a representative, Margison and kill list are together on documents 355 times.
We'll need more context, Senator. Sorry, I'm willing to understand what it is. I just need more context about the letter you're referring to and also in what context that would be used.
355 times. Mr. McNaughton, are you seeking to take that on notice?
Absolutely. I'm very interested to get to the bottom of the matter the Senator raises.
So information you can provide?
Yeah.
I think this is fine to be tabled, but Mr. McNaughton, at this point you have the option to take the question on notice.
I'll have to take that on notice, investigate.
Or Senator Cadell, if you have further questions or further information.
My colleagues are familiar
with. For a document that's not used, a phrase that's not used, to turn over to page 2, section 9, there are terms of the person, Mr. John Margerson. I hope that's correct. Looking for his name.
I think, is this the same Mr. Margerison who's featured in other estimates?
I don't know the answer to that.
Yes.
Okay. But line 9, kill list, 355 times. So an insider from in your department has told me that's just the number of times that phrase exists with that name attached to it, and there are potentially 10,000 documents with the term kill list on the NDIS servers. Why would the term kill list, given you don't use it, appear on the NDIS servers at all, let alone this number of times?
I'll have to take that on notice, Senator. I've never heard of it. I've never seen it used in any document in my 11 years in the agency. So I'm not sure if it's certainly not something we would use in service delivery parts of the agency, but please let me take that on notice and see what that surfaces. But I've never seen it used, but more than happy to take that on notice and investigate.
One of the reasons I asked to go first, and the Chair and our side have done that, is to try and get some answers today. So if it's possible that people back at home or people over back can go now so we can get some answers before the end of today, that'd be great, because it's of great concern if one person's name is linked to a kill list 350 times and I'm told, and I don't ascertain this is true, it exists over 10,000 times on your servers. Is this clients? Is this people that disagree with NDIS? I want to know the context, and I'd like to find that out today.
Mr. McNaughton has taken that on notice. We appreciate any speed you can apply to that.
Can I just
Yes.
perhaps add to that? We will, over the course of, I guess taking on notice is right, but if we can provide additional information in relation to this over the course of the day, we will.
Yeah.
That's appreciated. Thanks, Minister.
And I mean, this is, I do have, I will, I'm not acquainted with any of this detail, but I have, I think this has been the subject of other,
I think other
particular
aspects
name rings
other
a bell
aspects for
for some
sure.
reason or other.
Other
Senator
aspects are fine.
Cadell, did you have further questions on
I'll put some
this
other
matter?
questions so they can take them on notice based on this, if this is the case. Providing this is not a complete fabrication, let's go down that path. If the term does exist, can you, on notice, tell me how many times it does appear on the NDIS services in total?
That doesn't mean they're the source of the record.
Senator Pratt, Senator Cadell is putting the questions. Please allow him to.
How many times it appears on the NDIS?
Senator Hughes, I'm already called her to
In
order.
total?
Senator Cadell.
How many individuals' names are linked to documents where it exists, the context of which it is used, and I would ask you to table as many documents regarding kill list as possible on notice. That's all I have, Chair.
Thank you, Senator Cadell. Mr. McNaughton, are you able to take that
Senator,
on
we'll
notice?
take all that on notice. The early indications are that it may have been referenced in a media article by a journalist, but we will get that information for you and bring that back on notice.
I appreciate some of that information sounds like it might take a while to prepare, but whatever you can provide to us on early advice
We'll do that,
would be
Chair.
appreciated.
Senator Patterson, we can come back to you now.
Thanks, Chair, and apologies for bringing the levity of the committee down, but yeah. Rhiannon Down and Paul Garvey of the Australian have just posted an article online, which I've asked my office to provide to the Secretariat so it can be seen.
Yeah,
That's it.
they're still playing.
It's just playing in the background. It's not on the screen.
So there you go. Does the NDIS have a kill list, and what does it refer to? Now, we all know that the government's, through the NDIS, is cracking down on funding. Now, does this kill list refer to bad service providers, bad independent support workers, bad clients, bad businesses? And, you know, does this list mean that they're on the chopping block? Now, from what I understand, that the phrase kill list isn't used by the NDIS. I think it was done by some reporter who used the phrase kill list. But if they do have a list that's similar to what a kill list implies, then the NDIS needs to come forward and say, yes, we do have a list of potential service providers, clients, businesses that we're looking into for inappropriate practices. But what concerns me, and this is leading into my second topic of the day, and that's the cold calls. People have been receiving calls from the NDIS out of the blue, and they're saying, I would just want to ask you, 2 or 3 questions, and it later turns out it was actually a plan review, and they've had their funding cut. Now, I go onto social media platforms, and I go around and I look at these things, and I read through on Facebook. There was, I know, about 30 to 40 people, all with similar experience. One person received a phone call from the NDIS, and they asked them straight out, "Is this a plan review?" And the person from the NDIS said, "No, there's 2 or 3 questions we want to ask." And the client of the NDIS said, "I just want to make sure this is not a plan review." And the person from the NDIS said, "No." And they asked the question, and the client said, "Now this really sounds like a plan review. Is this a plan review?" And there was a slight pause, and the person from the NDIS said, "Yes." Is this legal? Now, I reported a few weeks ago of a young man with cerebral palsy, and his parents wanted a device that attaches to the hoist to get him out of bed so they can weigh him. So they rang up and asked the NDIS, and the person from the NDIS decided to do a plan review without any notice whatsoever. They cut his funding back by $80,000, and this young man was going out for 6 hours a day, 4 days a week. And mind you, him going out into the community is a great thing, but it's also used as a respite for his family. This same person that cut this man's funding by $80,000 also cut that back to less than 4 hours a week. A good friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, had his funding cut by $50,000. This seems to be happening every week. And we were promised, because I watched the Senate inquiry into the reforms that Bill Shorten put up in the first reading. I watched it. And he promised, and the Department of Social Services promised, nobody would lose their funding. And I have another friend who has MS, progressive MS. She lost all of her funding, all of it. Now, I don't know if a lot of you remember the days of robocall from Centrelink, and people were losing their benefits because of this robocall. It was an automated call. I think there's about 6, maybe 7 people committed suicide over it. Now, this cold calling, I don't know about anyone else, but it smacks of robocalls. What's the difference? If they're getting calls out of the blue, unplanned, under the guise of, I would just want to ask you 2 or 3 questions, and it turns out to be a plan review, is that not illegal? It's certainly unethical and immoral. But can the government do that? Can the NDIS do that? Do they have the powers to do that? So those people who had their funding cut or completely lost the NDIS have to go through an AAT process, which can take up to 8 months. And I know a few people have had their funding returned, but the financial hardship that's been placed on those families in the meantime are immeasurable. There was one lady at the first round of the Senate inquiry for the first round of reforms. She's in her 80s. Her daughter paid off a house while she was working, and she ended up becoming ill. Now, that took her funding off her completely. So she had to reverse mortgage her house. She had to borrow money to keep her supports going while she appealed to the AAT. Now she's in debt for $100,000 for 8 months. Is she going to get that refunded? I guarantee that she won't. Now she's on the DSP. Now she has a mortgage. She was mortgage free. So she can get back onto the NDIS and get the supports that she needs. And I heard a lady who worked at the DSS and Bill Shorten say, this will never happen. Well, as sure as shit is. Now, what the hell is the IAC doing about this? If I've got time to do a couple of hours a week to go through social media and look at what people are talking about, why isn't the IAC doing this? They're being paid to be our representatives. Now, George Teleporis, through his LinkedIn, complained that a support worker or a client of the NDIS was complaining that support workers were using their toilet paper. Now, we looked into this. A roll of toilet paper is about 50 cents. What's more important, a 50-cent roll of toilet paper or people losing tens of thousands of dollars in funding and getting cold calls from the NDIS who are deliberately lying and misleading the clients of the NDIS by telling them that it's not a plan review. We just want to ask you a couple of questions. Maybe I shouldn't say lie. Maybe I should say an untruth, because I don't want to get hit with a libel or defamation lawsuit. So people are being untruthful to clients of the NDIS, saying it's not a plan review, when that bloody well is. What is the IAC going to do about it? Probably bloody nothing. Because all they're focused on is toilet paper. What's more important to clients or support workers who have the best interests of their clients at heart? Toilet paper or losing tens of thousands of dollars in funding or being removed from the NDIS. I mean, what the hell's going on? Yes, there was a yes and no list, like using tarot card, funding for using tarot card reading, going to a psychic, people abusing their funding by having a free holiday. I personally know people have done it, and it's wrong. And they should be held accountable. But for service providers and clients of the NDIS, please be aware of these cold calls. If you get a phone call from the NDIS and they want to ask you a few questions, to say, well, I have a coordinator of supports. If I get a cold call, I'm going to say, please contact my coordinator of supports. I'll give them the name and the telephone number, and then I'm going to hang up. But this cold calling and saying it's not a plan review, when it bloody well is an abuse of power. Now, there was a case a few weeks ago in the news where a service provider did the wrong thing. They owed their workers about $750,000, and they owed the NDIS $2 million. And what happened to them? They got suspended from working for the NDIS for 2 years. 2 years. They should have been expelled for life. Now, I heard some of the support workers saying that even though they won't get paid, they're going to still support their clients. Because this service provider took all their funding, left them with nothing, and they were suspended for 2 years. Come on, George. This is more important than a roll of toilet paper. Do a better job. If you can't, get the hell off the IAC, and the rest of the members bloody resign and let people up there who will take their job seriously. Why should the NDIS be allowed to get away with not being deliberately being deceitful and untruthful? Why are we allowing this to happen? What, are we all going to shrug our shoulders until it happens to us? We'll just wait our turn? Or we're going to be proactive to stop it? Who's going to stand up to the NDIS and the minister to stop it? We all know the IAC won't, because they don't do nothing. I've contacted nearly everyone on the IAC. Not one response. I've contacted nearly everyone on the NDIA board. Not one response. I've written to Bill Shorten. It just refers it off to the NDIS. So what are we going to do to stop it? Because if we allow this to continue and allow the NDIS and the minutes to go unchecked, what else are they going to do to us? Pathetic, absolutely pathetic. So please be aware. Any service providers listening, tell your clients, tell your support workers to talk to their clients to let them know this is happening. I mean, this is a dangerous precedent they're setting. You know, it might be just one person and one voice. But if I can get other people to wake up to the fact of what they're doing and protect one person, then it's worth it. But I remember specifically Bill Shorten and the DSS saying people will not have their funding cut. It will not happen. Well, it's happening, and it's happening a lot. Is there any comments in there, Chris?
No comments. No.
I might wrap it up there for today. Please be aware of these cold calls. If you're unsure, ask them to ring back at a time where you can have someone there, like a support worker or a plan manager or a coordinator of supports to help. Because I've also heard too that if the NDIS requests documents, you've only got 28 days to provide those documents. Then you can get removed from the NDIS. These are dangerous times we're sitting in, and the longer we sit back and say nothing, the more this is going to happen. And once it starts happening, they won't just take an inch, they'll take a bloody mile. And just quickly going back to that kill list, I personally believe that the NDIS has lists such as bad service providers, bad independent support workers, bad businesses, bad clients. I wouldn't necessarily call them a kill list, but there has to be lists out there because that's all the government does. All right, well, that's it for today. If anyone who's had one of these cold calls, if you'd like to contact me, you can do that through LinkedIn, or you can email me at blindadvocate007@gmail.com. All right, I might just end it there. Thanks, Chris. Okay, we'll just leave it there. Thanks, everyone.